TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom and good evening. Erev Tov. I am Ayan Hassan and this is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says the Islamic Republic of Iran is in its final days and weeks. U.S. President Donald Trump calls on Iranian protesters to seize state institutions, pledging to hold the repressive Ayatollah regime responsible for its murderous actions. Iran asserts it's ready for war. The Islamic Republic of Iran may be facing its last days and weeks. Amid a brutal oppression of Iranian civilians demanding an end to tyranny, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, on a state visit to India, stressed that the Ayatollah regime will undoubtedly succumb to the bravery of the Iranian people.
At the moment, I am concerned about the news of increasing violence of the police, the so-called Revolutionary Guard in Iran, against its own population. I am taking this opportunity to once again call on the Mullah regime to stop this violence immediately. If a regime can only maintain its power through violence, then it is effectively finished. I assume that we are now seeing the last days and weeks of this regime.
The Ayatollah regime's deadly crackdown on mass public protests against its rule has infuriated Western nations. And while those nations are seemingly slow to enact punitive measures, European states are coordinating joint response to reprimand the Ayatollah regime.
The United Kingdom condemns in the strongest of terms the horrendous and brutal killing of Iranian protesters, and we demand that the Iranian authorities respect the fundamental rights and freedoms of their citizens. And today, as the further reports have come through, the Minister for the Middle East, at my instruction, has summoned the Iranian ambassador to underline the gravity of this moment and to call Iran to answer for the horrific reports that we are hearing.
Ambassador, are you going to stop killing your own people? Is the regime on its knees, Ambassador? Are you prepared for US strikes? When are you going to stop killing your own people, Ambassador? Is the regime going to topple?
Et face à cette révolte pacifique,
faced with this peaceful revolt, there has been an intolerable, unbearable, and inhuman repression. Protesters shot at point-blank range with assault weapons, the internet blocked to better conceal the extent of the horror, bodies, hundreds, perhaps thousands, piling up in bags, in hospitals. Deaths we mourn alongside grieving Iranian families, distress calls to which we cannot remain indifferent. And that is why France has condemned this repression, through the voice of the President Emmanuel Macron, with the utmost firmness, denouncing this state violence that has blindly struck peaceful demonstrators. I conveyed this condemnation to the Iranian Minister of Foreign Affairs, and it will be reiterated to the Iranian ambassador in France, whom I summoned today to the French Foreign Ministry. Through this peaceful revolt, the Iranian people have given the world a lesson in courage, the courage of those ready to take every risk to defend their freedom. And in this decisive moment in their history, France, the country of human rights and the Enlightenment, will stand fully alongside the Iranian people.
Many other European state actors have reprimanded Iranian ambassadors in their countries. However, they have all stopped short from severing diplomatic relations with the Islamic Republic. With that being said, mounting anger among EU member states has triggered the European Union to evaluate additional punitive measures against the Ayatollah regime.
The heavy-handed and brutal response by the security forces is unacceptable and exposes a regime afraid of its own people. The EU already has sweeping sanctions in place on Iran, on those responsible for the human rights abuses, nuclear proliferation, and Tehran's support for Russia's war. And we are discussing on putting additional sanctions. You know, very often these regimes are very, very resilient. So actually, we don't know. What we continue to do is that we support the civil society, and we are also putting more sanctions on the ones who are using the violence against the peaceful protesters to show that we are condemning these actions. But eventually, it has to be the Iranian people who then take the decisions.
Meanwhile, the United States, President Donald Trump announced that he has ended all diplomatic discourse with the Islamic Republic and called on the brave people of Iran to continue to fight for freedom, stating help is underway.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused. If the numbers are right now, I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers, look, 1 death is too much. But I hear much lower numbers, and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. And all I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today. And I say, make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over.
After concluding his visit to Michigan, President Trump announced that he is consulting his national security team on options to hold the Ayatollah regime responsible for its heinous actions.
I'm going back to the White House now. We're going to look at the whole situation that's going on in Iran. And when I see the kind of death that is happening over there, we think. So we're going to get some accurate numbers. I'll have it in about 20 minutes.
Mr. President, Iran says that it will retaliate in the instance of U.S. strikes against U.S. assets in the Middle East. What do you say to U.S. service members about why it's worth the risk to intervene in Iran?
Yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew them up with the nuclear capability, which they don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time. They better behave.
Upon arrival at the White House, President Trump was reportedly briefed by his national security team on the situation in Iran. He was then presented with a range of potential courses of action to hold the Ayatollah-led regime accountable for its atrocities. Meanwhile, in Tehran, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi hosted a meeting with ambassadors of countries with which the Islamic Republic maintains friendly relations, during the course of which Araghchi insisted that the Ayatollah regime has proof that the United States and Israel are somehow behind the popular Iranian uprising. He went on to criticize Western nations for reprimanding the Islamic Republic over the mass murder of protesters.
ما اسناد و مدارک زیادی داریم که حاکی از دخالت
We have a large amount of documents and evidence indicating the involvement of both the United States and Israel in this terrorist act. In the meantime, it is striking that the positions taken by some Western countries, rather than condemning terrorism, are to condemn our police. These are the same actors who ignored the genocide and the killing of 70,000 people in Gaza and did not condemn it even once.
After Iran's army chief issued threats of preemptive strikes against Israel and the United States, amid fears of a looming American attack, Iran's foreign minister has now sought to soften the rhetoric. Nevertheless, in efforts to deter U.S. military action, Foreign Minister Araghchi declared that Iran's armed forces are ready for war.
Preemptive operations are not on our agenda. We do not seek war, but we are fully prepared for it. Indeed, even more prepared than before the previous war.
Tehran's top diplomat went on to accuse the United States and Israel of fueling the Iranian people's drive to break free from the Ayatollah-led regime.
The Zionist regime bears direct responsibility in this regard, as do the Americans, through the statements they made and their promotion of violence and the killings that took place.
Meanwhile, China continues to repeat its call on the United States, among other nations, to avoid escalation, claiming that Beijing, which is engaged in an arms race, opposes the threat or use of force in international relations.
China hopes Iran will maintain stability in the country and supports Iran in doing so. We always oppose interference in other countries' internal affairs and oppose the use or threat of force in international relations. We hope all parties will act in ways conducive to peace and stability in the Middle East.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to acknowledge all of TV7 Israel supporters. Your donations enable us to produce our daily news updates from Jerusalem. If you haven't yet supported TV7 Israel, please consider doing so. You can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I would like to encourage you to pray for the people of Iran fighting for their freedom, and please also pray for the peace of Jerusalem and Israel. I am Ayan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Tov, and until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.